Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. This is Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Mentor Select serves parents who are raising teens. Every week, Derek interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. All while parenting them to be successful adults, focusing on social and emotional development, something that's left out of the classroom, but not in ours. Be sure to subscribe, share, and rate. This is Mentor Select, and this is your host, Derek Phillips.
All right, parents, you're in for a great treat today. We have Dr. Elisha Robinson joining us today. How are you, Dr. Robinson?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
I'm just getting off from work. I am exhausted from work, but I'm about to get in and get me a good nutritious shake.
All right. Cool. Well, I'm curious, what is a good nutritious shake? We can start there.
Man, let me tell you something. It depends on who you're talking to, and what nutritious is. But right now, I'm doing the ketogenic diet and some intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So it's probably going to entail some unsweetened almond milk, some vegetables. And then I put some fruits and some vegetables like spinach or something like that, and some greens. Then I throw a handful of, I do some spirulina and chlorella, which is a good source of protein.
Okay. Wow.
And it's just to keep my energy up because, I got a busy schedule with my 4-year-old and my 11-year-old.
I bet. Indeed. I've got to keep up with them. I have a 1-year-old and she was running circles around us.
She is so adorable.
Thank you. And for the listeners, Dr. Robinson, we're actually related. So I could say I know people in high places. Yes, indeed. So I'm really excited to learn more about everything you have going on. And you go by the Integrative Healing Doc. I like that.
I named myself that name, Integrative Healing Doc, because I got my start as a general surgeon, and then what I noticed as I was working with patients that they were sick. They were, they were sick. They were, and I was just like, man, these patients are not getting well. We're giving them chemo. We're giving them radiation. We're giving them surgery. But they're coming in with the same ailments and the same illness. They're coming in with recurrence. So I started doing holistic medicine and combining conventional medicine with holistic medicine. So That's where I am right now. I do integrative medicine. So I call myself the Integrative Healing Doc.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah, when I was reading your bio, I was wondering, not necessarily a traditional path, go from a surgeon to more natural healing, integrative healing. So I was curious, what was your inspiration behind that? And like you say, I guess the traditional medicine where more so, not necessarily really trying to get them better, I would say, but you were, I guess a lot of times where it's masking the pain or just putting a patch on it versus actually trying to heal them.
Yeah, I think we are in medicine. We do try to heal, but a lot of times we don't use we don't use what God has allowed for the body to do, which is to naturally heal itself,
Right.
And so we try to put a Band-Aid. A lot of times medications nowadays and things like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Exactly. Wow. So I guess you're addressing it from the root and like I said, the natural. I love it. So tell us more about your practice, Dr. Robinson.
I'm a general surgeon, but I specialize in breast cancer. And then what I do now is after the car accident, I had a car accident 3 years ago, and my daughter, she's 11 now. So we make fun of her because we say she acts like she's a teenager now. And so even though she's 11, and even though I have a 4-year-old too, she acts like a teenager too. But ever since the accident, I had to switch my train trajectory and move it over to more a stay-at-home type mom type thing, but I still wanted to practice.
Right.
So what I do now is integrative medicine, where I went back to school, became a natural health, holistic, and nutrition practitioner, and I try to reverse people diseases by maximizing their health by introducing them to alternative healing pathways and traditional pathways. What I mean by traditional is the stuff that I utilize, the stuff that grandma did, great grandma did back in the day. Natural
those remedies, yeah.
Right. And just allowing God to do what he designed the body to do, which is the natural healing stuff. And so I just optimize the patient's micro environment in order to allow the body to take care of itself.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. Now, I know just health is just definitely a top of mind for a lot of parents now when you think about with COVID-19 and now the school year getting ready to start back. So for those parents out there who maybe have concerns about sending their kids back to school, what are some things they can do from a natural healing standpoint and prevention, protection?
Well, the first thing is you have to, just a few things that I just tell everybody is you got to drink plenty of water. Teens nowadays, because of the push in the media, social media, pushing drinks and fruit drinks and all these type of drinks that are unhealthy, energy. I'm seeing kids drinking energy drinks in the morning because they staying up late all night and they get up and drink an energy drink. That's the worst thing you can do. So water. I just can't say that enough. Like my daughter is 4 years old, and you should do this too, dear. Make sure.
I'm taking notes.
Make sure your sweet pea, make sure she understands and you have those conversations with her about health. Like Yaya had some issues this week with constipation. And so I told her she couldn't have any meat, that she has to eat fruits and vegetables this week.
Okay.
And then she last night, she said, Mom, I want some grapes because I know they're healthy. And then today when she got up this morning, she packed her lunch. She's 4. I told you she's 4 growing on teen.
Ahead of her time.
She goes to work with me, so she packed her lunch and she packed her some grapes and she went and washed them off. She said, Mommy, I got some grapes. I washed them off. And then today for lunch, she had spinach, she had a salad, and she loved it because I put some good dressing on top of it, a little bit of tuna, fresh tuna, stuff like that on it. And she tore it up and she's like, I want more salad. So I have those conversations with her, healthy eating.
Right. And starting young. Yeah.
Right. So it would be normal for her.
Yeah.
A normal part of her vocabulary, healthy. And it's there. She says healthy. I want some healthy. That's healthy for you. So that's number one, water. Make sure their bowels are open. Make sure they're having good bowel movements. Also, as far as supplements, and then also a well-balanced meal, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, minimize animal products.
Okay.
As much as possible, because viruses, bacteria, fungus, parasites, they need junk to eat off of. They need dead waste and to eat off of. And so if they don't have it in the environment to utilize, then they can't live, they can't stick around. So those are the two major things. And then because our diet is so deplete of nutrients, vitamins and nutrients, even people who do eat healthy, because of the way we process foods, and we use a lot of pesticides and herbicides, which kills the microenvironment of the plants, and which where we get our nutrients. When we do finally eat our food, there's minimal to no nutrients in it.
Wow.
So unfortunately, we have to supplement with a good multivitamin.
Okay.
So I would recommend that your children get a really, really good multivitamin. I would recommend that they get vitamin C.
At what age do you recommend they start taking vitamins for kids?
I recommend with little children, you have more control over what they're eating.
Right, exactly.
Because they can't say, no, I don't want, they can, which they try to do, but you have to. But if you train them up starting
Yep.
at a young age,
Right,
that this is more nutritious and you start having those conversations, it's
right.
easier for them to accept. So starting at a young age, the age I would recommend for multivitamin would be 3 and 4 for multivitamin,
Okay.
because that's around the age where they become picky eaters, like Yaya. For a while, she only wanted macaroni and cheese every day.
Yeah.
Macaroni and cheese, macaroni and cheese,
Yeah.
macaroni and cheese, macaroni and
I
cheese.
want to live off of
Yeah.
that.
Or Derek should say, I want an egg sandwich. I want an egg
Pretty
sandwich.
nutritious, full balanced meal.
So I started her off at 4, but I do nutritional shakes with her as well. So like I literally have friends who will come over and I'll make them like a nutrition shake, like with some spirulina and chlorella and some other like protein, wheat germ type stuff. And they would literally look at me and just be like, this is disgusting, guys. So disgusting. But Yaya would say, ooh, this is good. I want some
Yeah,
more.
starting her young, training her. Yeah, indeed. I think that's so important. I really hope the parents are really take the heed to, because I know for me growing up, healthy eating, that was a foreign concept. It was just eat whatever is available or fast food. But now we know a lot more about just what we put in our bodies and the impact it has, and just how important it is to start young. And that's something we're really focused on with our daughter start now, trying to feed her healthy. So that's all she knows. So she becomes accustomed to it versus just feeding her just bad things. Now, Dr. Robinson, what would you say to parents out there who say, hey, healthy eating costs a lot of money. I don't have the money for that.
It's so funny that you said that, because literally as I was talking, I said, I bet you any money you're going to ask me that question. And healthy eating is actually, it's easier than you think. It's really, really easier than you think. And you have to look at it in this term. You cannot afford not to eat healthy. Why? Because long term, if you don't eat healthy, it will end in diabetes.
Yeah.
It may end up in obesity. I had 6 new patients today, 6 new.
Wow.
And most of them was overweight. And they come to me because they want to get healthy. They see results with other people, and I literally work with patients to get them off their medication, and they want to know how to do that. And it's about willpower. So if we get them, our kids started younger with just showing them how to choose wisely. Okay. But I grew up on welfare, and I'm going to tell you why it's easier than you think, because I grew up on government cheese and, food stamps. And what I realized and what I noticed was we ate really healthy, even though we were on welfare. And that's because my parents decided, instead of spending $2 or $3 on bags of chips, they spent $2 or $3 on a big can of string beans.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And my dad is from the South. He's from the dirty South.
Dirty South. All right.
So we grew up in Gary, Indiana, inner city.
Yeah.
And guess what? We had a garden in our backyard. And I have 8 brothers and sisters. So I'm like the poster child for showing people how to eat on a budget. Because it was 11 of us. It was 9 kids and my mother and my father. And we were on, we received food stamps, government assistance. And I never remember eating unhealthy. I remember having cabbage. I remember having protein, having a meat. And it was the way you cook it. So instead of having fried chicken every day, we would have baked chicken.
Yeah.
And my dad made sure every meal we had a vegetable. And vegetables are really cheap to buy. They're not expensive.
Right. Yeah, much cheaper than chips and candy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, for real, it is.
Yeah, I love that. Your dad was intentional. Yeah, wow. So you all
we
grew
had
up.
a garden. Had a garden with okra. Oh my God. I hated okra, man. And then my dad would make us go, and it literally, how much does it cost to grow that garden? So you think about a pack of seeds is $2 and you got a whole garden. So you take $10 for seeds. You got tomatoes, string beans, okra if you like it. And then we also had squash in our garden. My dad grew squash. So then it was just a matter of all 9 of us getting our lazy butts off the couch
Yeah.
and tilling the ground and planting it. And then by the end,
good work ethic.
yeah. And remember, back then, we didn't have all this stuff that they have now, you know, the internet and TikTok and all this stuff like we did. So we were outside and we were playing.
Right.
And I remember my dad juicing. I remember him taking the fruits and vegetables and juicing. And I remember him giving us castor oil.
Ugh, I still have flashbacks about that.
Actually, it was cod liver oil.
Clean out everything from you.
Because you have to keep your bowels open. In order to stay healthy, you have to keep your bowels open. So these are some of the things, simple things you can do for your teenager. And now teenagers nowadays, you know, they do what they want to do. But if I can just give just a few words of advice to parents, what I would do to fortify your child's immune system to make sure they do not contract COVID. Now, let me rephrase that. They can get COVID, but they may not get sick from it.
Right.
Because they can still get the virus, but their immune system needs to be strong in order to keep from getting it. Right. And so I would recommend you have them do some cod liver oil once a week. Get some those, and they can do it in pills. They actually have it where it's flavored and in pills where they won't taste it. So do cod liver oil, do vitamin C, do 1 to 2 grams of vitamin C every day, and then make sure they get a really, really good multivitamin and take 2 a day. Usually they tell you to take 1, but during this season, take 2 a day, and make sure that multivitamin has selenium, B vitamins, zinc, and make sure they get vitamin D, which is go out, make them leave, get out in that sun at least 30 minutes a day to get their vitamin D.
Wow. All right. Yeah, just those tips alone can save a lot of money in future medical bills and getting sick and pills and all that other medicine. That's not expensive.
My mother and my sister were diagnosed with COVID. And when this all started, I called everybody. I said, look, and I sent I'm in Rockford. I'm like a few hours from my family. Okay. And I sent a big box of vitamin C. Like a big, because I sell it in my office, and I sent them packets of vitamin C, and I had them doing everything that I told you, and in big doses, because they're vitamins, they won't hurt you. So I had them doing it in big doses, and my sister called me and said, "Oh, I got tested and I was positive," but she was totally asymptomatic, and the reason why she had to be tested was because they had a breakout. She works at a call center. And so they had to test everybody.
Right.
And so
the next you never knew, probably.
She would not have known. She would not have known.
Wow.
Because she was totally asymptomatic.
Okay.
But she got a 2-week paid vacation off of that, though.
Yeah, I'll take it. But
same thing with my mother. My mother works with mentally handicapped. She works in a home, an adult home. Okay. So she's around it. Right. And same thing. She didn't have any symptoms. Someone on her job tested positive, so they had to test everybody because they were close proximity. She tested positive, and again, she got a 2-week vacation, but was totally asymptomatic.
Wow, and she's in a higher risk category. And
higher risk because she has hypertension. So what that means is you can still have the virus, but your body will fight it because it's just like having a common cold. Right. You get the virus, and as long as your immune system is strong enough, it kicks it out. And if you don't have any dead crap lingering around in your body, that's why you got to keep your bowels moving. So take the cod liver oil, and then you have vitamins that fortify your T blood cells, your B cells, and your all of the immune cells to strengthen it, and then it would kick it out. It would kick the virus out of your body.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Cool. Great tips. I'm taking notes. So I'm certainly going to be incorporating some of this into our family healthy habits, for sure. Now, Dr. Robinson, you mentioned growing up in Gary. So that's a tough place to grow up. How did you go from growing up in Gary, being on welfare, to a surgeon? Wow, that's impressive.
Let me tell you
Tell us more
something.
about that journey.
I had to fight. Let me tell you
Yeah,
something.
gotta be
I remember
resilient.
fighting on the corner. I was built for it because growing up in Gary,
Yeah,
you have to fight. But I need to tell you, I have to give credit to where credit is due, and that's God most holy.
yes, indeed.
And God giving me protection in order to make it quote out of the quote unquote hood,
Right,
which is my background, and I can't knock it because it made me into the
right,
person I
exactly.
am.
Mhm,
And of course, God blessed me with amazing
mhm.
who took care of us. And again, my dad's an herbalist, and so he kept us off the streets. He put instruments in our hands. We were constantly involved in the community to stay out of trouble.
Yeah,
And so it was mandatory for us to excel
yeah,
because my dad didn't take no for an answer, and he made sure we excelled. And my parents pushed us. So all of my brothers and sisters, we all are successful in our own way.
right.
And because we appreciate the value of a good education. And then, of course, we were the trailblazers because we didn't have people who before us who went to college. My
Mm,
mom didn't. My mother went to college like 20 years later.
okay.
After my last sister Brittany was in high school, my mother went back to college.
Wow.
And my dad, similarly, my dad didn't have a college education then, but when after his kids were older, he started doing his own studies. So how I did it was I connected myself to people in the community that were doing things and that were moving.
Right.
I made sure that I stayed out of trouble. I made sure that I did my homework. I made sure that even though we couldn't afford, my parents couldn't send me to college, I made sure I had scholarships. I made sure I was in literally the school counselors at Luwalla's High School in Gary,
L-Dub, go
Indiana,
Hornets.
which Derek and I have graduated both from.
Yes, indeed.
I made sure that they knew me by name.
Ah,
And they literally remember everything comes across their desk.
right.
So scholarships, different things, opportunities to go to, I went to Washington, D.C., different things like that. I made sure that they knew my face.
Yeah.
They knew who I was.
Top of
I made
mind
sure
for
that,
them.
right. I made sure the principal knew who I was in a good way. I
Yeah.
made sure the teachers knew who I was. They knew my name. And so when these things would come across their desk, they would pick me for it, or they would choose me, or I would fill out this application for this scholarship and that scholarship. And so that's how it happened. And then I had, again, finding someone who was already there and
Right.
attaching yourself to them.
And mentors. Yeah.
Right. Like you, I look at like seriously, though, Derek. Remember when you were a little boy and stuff like that, and I
Little
would
big
see
head boy.
you. Oh my gosh. And now I watch your story on Facebook and I'm truly amazed. I see you with your baby and your beautiful wife. And I'm like so proud of you because I see you wrote a book and I just see your accomplishments and I'm like, and I see your mentorship. And I'm saying the people need to attach themselves to people like you, people who, you and I, who have come from humble beginnings.
Right.
And we pulled ourselves up by the bootstrap. And we have the tool. We didn't have a silver spoon in our mouth.
Far from it.
We had government blocks of cheese, and
I remember them blocks. I'm picturing it now. I made some good grilled cheese sandwiches.
Some grilled cheese, and so that's what we had. And so I love your program. I'm just
Thank
so
you.
blown away by it. You know what I'm saying? And so how did you get out of Gary? You tell me.
It's about you, but a quick summary. Pretty much the same way, like you said, just really having that support system with family, and then also being intentional about finding those who did make it out, who were doing something positive, and just being intentional about staying out of trouble and just looking for opportunities. Because I believe even in a place like the inner city, like Gary, where people may view like, hey, there's no hope, but there's always opportunities. And especially like if you're trying to help yourself, people always are going to be willing to help you. it's always going to be those people that see what you're doing and like, hey, I want to help that person. So yeah, just a lot of the same things you did, that same formula. You led the way. You graduated 4 years before me, and I certainly say I certainly look up to you. And when I think about the Robinson family, like you said, you all are successful in your own ways, and you're known for being you're a big family, and you all think of the Robinson family. Like, wow, they're doing something right. They, like I said, you must have amazing parents, and that's something I was curious about before this interview. Like, you mentioned some of the things your parents did to put you all on that right path. What are some of those things that you incorporate into your own family with your own kids?
Well, I dance a lot with my daughters.
Okay.
And listen. And someone gave me this good advice. Remember, children are small adults, meaning that they are going to grow up to be you.
Right.
And they're going to have to take care of you when you get older. So what type of adult do you want them to be? They just don't become an adult once they hit 18. Like my daughter, like I have a girlfriend of mine who she kind of stays here with me and help me out with Jewel. You know, Jewel is my daughter, Jewel, who's 11 right now, but she's paralyzed in a car accident. I think I mentioned that. And so I have friends who come over and they help. And I have a girlfriend who said to me, she said, I love it how you and Yaya apologize to each other. So like if I'm wrong and I did something wrong to Yaya, I heard of, Mommy, you hurt my feelings. I'm so sorry, Yaya. I apologize. Please forgive me. And I treat her as if she is a young adult. Now I don't let her have anything she wants, and she gets consequences. But I put on punishment. I put on timeout. But I value who she is, number one, so that way we can have a good relationship. And then I talk to her as if she's an adult. So I talk to her about healthy eating. I say, yeah, you cannot have that because that's not healthy. Mom got no, it's not healthy. And then I give her choices. I say, you can either have this and this, you choose. And also education, even today, like daycare, her daycare isn't open this week. So I had to take her to work with me, even though my clinic was booked today. I was packed. I literally took time in between patients and I would go check on her homework.
Wow.
So even though it's summer, she has to do her writing. She has to work on her writing. So, and before she turned the TV on. And so we did the writing together. We did her stickers together. And I even had a good friend of mine, one of the nurses who work in my office. She was just complimenting. She's just like, Dr. Robinson, man, you doing it with your girls. And because I'm a single parent. And she said, I see how you stop in between patients and you attend to your girls and
make the time.
You make the time. And that's what my dad did to me. My dad didn't have more education than us. My dad only had a high school education. But I remember him coming home from his 9 to 5 because he was a maintenance worker. He's a blue collar worker. And he would sit at the table and his presence, he was there just so he can give us some wisdom. What he could do with the homework. If he couldn't help us, then he got help from other people.
Wow.
And so we as parents, important. We have to remember, train up a child, and that is very huge. How are you talking to your child? Are you edifying them? Or are we constantly saying stuff like, you just like your daddy, or you get it, or you ain't never amount? We gotta stop
building their confidence and self-esteem and image. That's toxic.
They're kids in an adult world, and you treat them as an adult, meaning you show them how to make the right choices. You give them consequences for the bad choices, and you show them that you are 100. Because I get so busy sometimes, Derek. Literally, Yaya will say, "Mommy," like she'll start screaming for attention. When she does that, I stop everything I'm doing.
Prioritize,
I stop everything and I look, and it only takes 5 minutes. And I look at her and I look her in the eye and I say, how can I help you? I want you to pay me.
Her.
And so she gives me $1. Like the other day I was on the phone and I literally was right in the middle of conversation and she was just crying. kept putting a doll in my face. And I said, she's going to drive me crazy. So I got off the phone. I said, let me call you back. And then I said, what do you want, Yaya? She said, I want to play. So we played for 5 good minutes, and we played house, and we played with her Barbie dolls. I took the Barbie doll clothes off, and we were playing with the Barbie dolls and tickling. And literally, that's all she needed. She didn't need 2 hours or 3 hours. She was good after 5 minutes, because their attention span is so short.
Exactly. Right.
She ran and started doing something else because she was through with me after 5 minutes.
Yep.
But that was lasting for her.
Yep. Absolutely. It showed her that going back to that, you value her. Yes. And that's so important. Yes, that definitely want to emphasize for parents. Yeah, it doesn't take hours, but no matter how busy you are, if Dr. Robinson could take 5 minutes out to play with her daughter and value her, then wow, we all can find a time. And nothing's that important, especially from a work standpoint, where I just going to ignore my kids and can't give them a period of time where I'm showing them, hey, I do value you. And I love that you mentioned about how you apologize to each other. And I think that's very important. Like I say, treating them with that respect as if they're little adults. So that's some great stuff, Dr. Robinson. Love it. Another area I want to make sure I cover is, so going to medical school. I know that they have some parents out there with their teens desire to ultimately be doctors and maybe be a surgeon. What was that like? And what can they do to prepare for that experience?
Again, it's about drive and dedication. You can't go to medical school without good grades, number one. Believe it or not, it's becoming severely competitive because it's more conducive to women. You know, that more and more women and are competing against men for these applications and these spots for these medical school, which is limited.
Right.
So you don't want to start in college. You actually want to start in high school, and even before then, because when you go to medical school, they want transcripts from high school. They want to see a pattern.
High school? Wow.
Yep. They want transcripts from. That's what it's been some time since I've been in medical school. Remember, it's been 22 years.
Wow.
Well, actually about 20 years since I've been in medical school. So it's been a minute. Things may have changed, but I remember having to send over my high school transcripts. They want to know what my resume, what type of grades I made, and then school, college, what type of grades I made, and then what was my extracurricular activities.
Okay.
And it's important they want to see someone who's well-rounded. So making sure you are participating in your church or at the food banks, or during holidays, you're going to the homeless shelters and you're giving of your time. And then also doing some research. I did research when I was in high school. I worked at Indiana University. I did, again, it's about connections. I connected with a doctor who I worked on. Her research was pigment in the eye. And so I dissected cows' eyes during the summer and cleaned up I reorganized her, all her files and stuff like that during the summer, but I was able to put that on my resume. And so she was able to help me when it was time for me to apply. She had connections.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I don't remember how I got connected to her. I think it was through remember I told you, making sure you go, and when you're in high school, that those counselors and those teachers and those people in higher positions know who you are, because I was able to get that position because the counselor recommended me for it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of what happens in America and all over the world. A lot of it's about who you know and making those connections. And again, like what you're offering, Derek, mentorship.
Right.
So it was hard in medical school. It wasn't easy. I didn't have a life because I literally studied 24/7. You don't have a life.
Right.
But now, during COVID-19, I have financial security. I just bought a building. I'm about to buy a house, another house. So
Wow.
what I'm saying is, the reason I say this because now people who partied back then and didn't do
You're paying for it now.
they lived their life. Now they're having a harder time because I worked as they said the ant. You got that the grasshopper and the ant story. When the ant, he worked hard all summer long, and grasshopper just chilled and played,
bouncing around.
And when it was winter time, the ant had all this food that he had during all the whole summer. He worked.
Yeah.
And then I feel like during COVID-19, during this crisis, where I have money saved up because I am frugal with my money and I'm a good saver. And my clinic was affected also by COVID-19.
Okay.
Patients canceled, people stopped coming in. Similarly, but I had a nest egg.
Okay.
Or I had a career that would bounce back easily. I wasn't furloughed. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's because I worked hard and I sacrificed on the front end.
Right.
But now I can retire nicely in my latter end. Do you get what I'm saying? And enjoy my wealth or whatever I built up.
Exactly. And when you look at successful people, one thing that most of them have in common is being able to have that delayed gratification, where they are willing to work during the summer, and going back to the ant and the grasshopper, while everyone else is having fun, going on spring break and just going to class when they feel like it, studying when they feel like it, living a good life, so to speak. But yeah, that's temporary. That's going to be short-lived versus being strategic like you were and intentional. Now you're say you have that financial freedom where the party animals, now they're struggling. And yeah, you just really have to be able to delay that gratification. So that's a really good point. And it kind of goes back to what you said with your father, where he made it mandatory for you all to excel. Like there were no excuses, and he showed by just his presence being there, watch you all do your homework, how important it was to have a good education. So yeah, all that, it ties into each other. And yeah, see the outcome now. Awesome. Some other things you have going on, Dr. Robinson, is so you do a weekly webinar. Tell us about that.
It's called Let's Talk About Healing, and I do it at 7 p.m. on Thursday evening. And basically every week it's a different topic about spiritually emotional healing, different things like that. It's a different topic. So
okay.
Yeah.
How can the listeners tune into that?
Well, what they can do is they can go to my Facebook, Integrative Healing Center.
Okay.
And it's posted. I'm always posting it, and they can sign up, and then it's they'll get the Zoom link.
Okay.
So
awesome.
They'll get the Zoom link, and so Integrative Healing Center on Facebook. They can also go to my website, ElishaRobinson.com, or they can go to my other website, integrativehealingdoc.com.
Mm-hmm.
And they can get the information from those areas.
Great. Yes, easy to find you all over social media, and it goes to show like just how much you have going on. But hey, you're still able to do all those things. You're still intentional. You're making the time for the things that's a priority for you. And also, you have an ebook too, right?
Yes, I have. Actually, I wrote a book a few years ago with a gentleman who's a nutritionist and an herbalist.
Okay.
I call him the plant doctor. His name is Mark Haygood, and it's the top 10 ways to naturally lose waste.
Waste. All right.
That's the whole title. And we wrote that a few years ago. And then I've written other books, but I just haven't published them. And then I have 2 ebooks, the top 10 ways to boost your immunity.
Okay.
And then my detox, I wrote a detox protocol for people because, again, that's something that everyone can do, including teenagers who are preparing to go back to school, to detox the body.
Okay.
And so it's a lot of detoxes out there. Some are good, some aren't. But I've used this one, tested, tried, and true, and it's gentle and it's easy for the body. Wrote wrote that one and everything like that.
Fantastic. I'll make sure I share all your links in the show notes. But yeah, I plan on checking out all of those books. I know I downloaded one of them, but yeah, I want to read them all. I can certainly benefit from that knowledge. Now, Dr. Robinson, you've given us a lot of great tips, strategies, and resources, and just your story is so inspirational. As we get ready to wrap up this interview, it's going back to something you mentioned earlier about the car accident you were in. And I remember just like it was such a potentially deadly accident that ended up leaving Jewel paralyzed. I guess, I know me watching from the outside looking in, just how inspirational it is, how far you all have come from that tragic incident till now. I guess, can you just tell us how was that as far as bouncing back from that, and how were you able to do it as a family?
Well, that was so difficult because Jewel actually died at the accident, and we quote unquote lost her, but she came back. God brought her back, and she woke up. She was in a coma for some time, and then she came out of her coma. Then they said she's going to be a vegetable, but she's not. And our favorite thing to talk about, or when we joke with her, is boys, because she's 11 years old. But that was quite difficult. I was nearly paralyzed, and I was in a wheelchair for 3 months. I broke my neck, my back, my pelvis was shattered, and I need to have screws put in my pelvis that literally put my pelvis back together, piece my pelvis back together. So I and my daughter Yaya, she was only a year and a half. She's not that much older than your sweet pea, and she broke her leg. She had to go to have surgery, and she suffered PTSD really bad.
Oh man!
So it was a lot. It had a negative impact on my finances, a negative impact on my spirit man. I went into depression. I had chronic pain from it because all those injuries. You had pain, and it had a negative impact on my marriage. So I'm divorced because of we couldn't keep it together. That type of tragedy isn't for the weak.
Yeah.
And we had to depend a lot on God to strengthen us. We're still healing. I'm still seeking out counseling because it's still something that's looming over us. Because my daughter Jewel is still paralyzed, and she's on a ventilator. She's on life support. And waking up and seeing her like that every day, I thank God that she's here.
Yeah.
And I thank God that she's still with me. It's just a struggle, every day. But I relied on my faith in God and my belief in God that He would continue to do what He said, which was to heal my daughter. She's actually moving her feet.
Wow.
And she has sensation in her body, and she eats. They said she wasn't going to eat. They said she's just going to be a vegetable.
Far from a vegetable, definitely.
Far from a vegetable. I don't know if you've seen her on Facebook. I get
I
on
have.
She stands up. We try to get her to walk. We do walking exercises with her. She eats pizza. She eats chicken.
Wow.
We go to Great America. Oh, we just went to Wisconsin Dells a few weeks ago.
Wow.
I had her in the pool. She was in the pool, in the swimming pool, in the wading water. I'd go to the beach for her birthday. We took her to Noah's Ark for her birthday.
All over, and nothing stopping you all.
No. I take her out of her wheelchair. I put her in the water. And so I just, it takes dedication.
Right.
And I think that God literally prepared. I tell people I'm the best person for this job because the Bible says He won't put on you more than you can bear.
Right.
And I think I'm the best person for this job because I'm a physician and I know she's on a ventilator. And so I know how to take care of ventilation, people on ventilators. I know, like, when she's sick or ill, I know I can prescribe antibiotics. I can do this. And then all that, the determination, everything I went through, going through medical school and fighting to be a Black physician, because I went through a lot of racism and sexism and stuff. It fortified me. Yeah, it fortified me and made me into the woman I am. So I have resilience with her now. I won't give up, and I won't let her give up.
Wow, that is truly inspiring and really inspirational. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us. Like I said, I've been watching, just seeing on social media and just remembering, I still have that image in my head of the vehicle. I think you all were like in a van, right? Was it a minivan? Yeah, I remember seeing just like how, like, wow, they survived after that. And then to fast forward to today and to just know how far you've come and just how everything you're doing and the progress that Jules made and wow, truly inspirational. So, like I say, you're the best person for the job. You're built for it. You're tough. You're a fighter. So clearly, Jewel and Yaya got that from you. They're fighters as well. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, Dr. Robinson, I know on that note, we'll wrap it up. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day. I know a lot of people say they're busy, but no doctors, they are busy. And then on top of that, you're a mother and an entrepreneur and all these other, and an author and just so much. So I really value your time and value everything you share with us today. So as we get to wrap it up, do you have any closing words of advice you want to leave the parents with?
Be a protection of your kids. Be an advocate for your kids. If you feel like they should stay home, keep them home. Yeah. But unfortunately, parents have to get back to work.
Right.
And the best thing, I promise you, the best thing you can do for your children is to fortify their immune system to keep them protected from COVID. That's the best thing you can do.
Great. Awesome. Great advice.
You've been listening to Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Hosted by Darrich Phillips. Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. We get it. That's why Darrich interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. That's why we do the show. Be sure to share Mentor Select with other parents of teens. Follow us on social media at Mentor Select to stay up to date on the latest tips, strategies, and resources for parenting teens. Send your questions and comments to darrich@mentorselect.com. Tune in every Wednesday for new episodes. Till next time, this is Mentor Select.